Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon. And while you're there, go ahead and like, subscribe, rate, review, then head on over to the Facebook group, Twitter account, or dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com and join in the discussion, guys. Hello everyone, it is a muggy Thursday here in Austin, Texas. The sun has not been seen once at all today. That's okay because some good stuff is coming your way. We got some great topics to talk about. And honestly, guys, I just want to jump right in. But I will tell you right away, the one topic I will not talk about today is Crisis on Infinite Earths. So the CW crossover is done for the year. It was a big one. I have lots of things to say about it. Just finished watching it this morning. However, I'm going to put a pin in it. My buddy Jaime, who also watches the Arrowverse shows, he's going to come over for Tuesday's show, and we're going to talk Crisis on Infinite Earths, go into this 5-part crossover in detail. A lot of stuff to talk about. Just to say, of course, I have a lot to say about the surprise cameo, and I have a lot to say about the ending, about what the status of the worlds are. But I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about it on Tuesday. Now, what I am going to talk about are a couple of trailers that came out the last couple of days. So let's start with the newest one, a new trailer for the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 3. Just jumped online. You guys can check it out on the Facebook group or Twitter account. Comes out January 24th on Netflix. Now, guys, of course, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, an Archie Comics property. You had the 90s TV show with Melissa Joan Hart in it, and this is a much spookier version of the character. I watched season 1, and while I did enjoy it, I never got around to season 2. So honestly, there's not a lot I can comment about. This is really just kind of putting out there, letting you know that, hey, I think this show is worth checking out if you're into it, but I don't know if I'm going to get to season 2 and season 3. It does look very interesting. It looks like, very dark places they're taking this character, which is really cool. Right now I'm reading Archie the comic book that was started years ago by Mark Waid. I think Nick Spencer might be writing it now. I don't know. It's not as good as it was when Waid first started the book, but right now Sabrina's in the book and she's actually dating Archie, which is the previous storyline about their relationship and kind of how they were hiding it from everyone. But anyway, yeah, you can check out Sabrina in there. I think she has her own actual comic book too. I don't know. Check it out at retailers, guys. But anyway, part 3, the trailer's online. You can check it out. It looks pretty cool to me. Again, I don't know if I'm going to get to or not. I have way too many shows to watch. Maybe one day I'll come back and catch up on it. Maybe I won't, but either way, this show does get my endorsement. So if you like it, go check out the trailer, fire back on the social media accounts and Gmail account. Let me know what you think. Another trailer that came out the last couple days that I want to talk about briefly is a new trailer for the CW show coming up, Stargirl. Now, this one, of course, is going to focus around the character created by Jeff Johns, featured heavily in the Justice Society of America. This one, it's one of those things where I thought originally it was going to come out on DC Universe streaming service. Looks like they switched over and it's going to come out on the CW. Not sure why, but either way, it's coming, guys. It's got Luke Wilson is probably the most recognizable star. You also have Amy Smart in there. The actress who is playing Stargirl is Breck Basinger. I think that's how you say her name. It looks like it's going to be very Justice Society related, of course. The character is very based in all that. And if you watched the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, you saw a little tease. I'm not trying to spoil it, but you did see a little tease of the Stargirl show in there. That's all I'm going to give you on that one. But anyway, it's a CW, DC superhero show. I'm at least going to check it out. I will say it does look more up my alley than what Batwoman is. I'm going to try to stop there on Batwoman and save that for the Crisis talk. But anyway, guys, you can go online, check out this trailer as well. Tell me what you think about Stargirl. Do you know who she is? Do you know who the Justice Society of America is? And what do you think about the show coming to the CW? Fire back. Let me know. And the last piece of superhero girl power I'm going to talk about today is the newest trailer for Black Widow. It was only a minute and a half long, but it was Black Widow. So, MCU, you got to at least mention it in that fact. We didn't get a lot of new footage, in my opinion. Really, we got a better look at Taskmaster, though, which is awesome. But either way, I'm getting more excited for this film. I wasn't as excited for it. I love Scarlett Johansson, both as a character, as an actress, and as, my celebrity number one crush. So this film, like I said, it's a smaller film than what Endgame is. I've said this before, the MCU needs to go back. They need to regroup and almost start fresh with a new set of characters, building towards something like they did with the Infinity War. And again, just build it all back up again. Now, this is, of course, taking place in the past between Civil War and Infinity War, to where she's on the run. But also that means, she's with Captain America and Falcon. When we meet her in Infinity War, she's got blonde hair. It was funny. I was just watching Infinity War the other day. I was, laying down, just wanted something on in the background. I turned it on. I love that movie. Every time I watch it, I love it. But maybe at the end of this one, she gets her blonde hair. Perhaps. I don't know. But as we know from the trailer, it looks like, she's got to go back to her home and deal with some family business. Along the ride, you got Rachel Weisz, you got David Harbour. Robert Downey Jr. is supposed to be rumored to guest star as Tony Stark. The fact that it takes place in the past, I don't know who couldn't guest star from, pre-Endgame or pre-Infinity War. I would expect to see maybe Chris Evans as Captain America in there as well. We know we're getting Thunderbolt Ross. William Hurt is going to be in there, as well as some other people. Now, the one actress I am most interested, though, in this movie is Florence Pugh. I think that's how I say her last name. But she's an actress that in the last year has really started to impress me. Now, I first saw her in the Fighting With My Family, the wrestling movie with The Rock. He produced it, and I had no interest really in this film. I heard good things about it, so I checked it out on Redbox, and I really enjoyed it. Given the fact that I'm not a wrestling fan at all, I really enjoyed the movie. And then a couple days ago, I went and saw Little Women, which she just got a Best Supporting Actress nomination for. She was in Midsommar, which is another hit, and now she's going to be in Black Widow. So this girl, within the last year, her career is really taken off. She's very talented. I think she's got a long way to go in her career, so I'm very interested to see her in this as possibly a second lead next to Scarlett Johansson, but I'm happy to see that she's going to be in this film, and hopefully she gets more roles, because again, she's a young actress who is really impressing me, so I wish her all the success. And again, Black Widow, obviously I'm going to go see this film. It's MCU, see what it adds to the MCU story, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to the character. I think we're going to get something good, guys. So let me know what you think about the new trailer for Black Widow. And the last trailer I want to talk about is a new trailer. Came out, I think it was Tuesday, maybe. It was the same day as the Black Widow trailer, but it's for Vin Diesel's new movie Bloodshot, based off the Valiant comic book. I know of the character Bloodshot, but I never read any of his comics. This still looks bad. It still looks like it's going to be a piece of crap. And honestly, I have no desire to see this film at all, not even on Redbox. I kind of have a thing with Vin Diesel, though, too, because Vin Diesel, Fast and Furious, Triple X, great. But I think he's got a bigger head than he actually does. I don't know him personally, to be honest. I've never seen too many interviews or whatever, and I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I think he thinks he's a bigger star than he actually is, because he did do the first Fast and Furious film, then he did Triple X, then he tried to break away, and I liked him. I think his best role was in the movie A Man Apart, where I think it was the mob kills his wife and kids, so he goes on a vendetta. I think that's probably his best role yet, but he tried to break away, do other things, didn't work out, so he went back to not only the Fast and Furious franchise, but also Triple X, and that's kind of where he is, okay? Then he got the job of voicing Groot for Guardians of the Galaxy. And I remember, I think it was Infinity War, he showed at the premiere, and he's got this suit where it's got like branches sticking out of it because, he voices Groot. And to me, it's like, okay, I get it. You're in this film, buddy, but you have 3 lines that you say just over and over again. And no, you're not that big a star. I'm sorry, you're not a big enough star to start acting weird, I guess, in my opinion. I know he does a lot of producing and some stuff like that too, but let me get off this real quick because the way this film looks has nothing to do with my feelings for Vin Diesel, who, like I said, I'm sure is a nice guy. Just the way he comes off to me, he seems like kind of a douchebag. But anyway, this new trailer came out, still looks bad, still have no interest in seeing it, but I hope it's good. It comes out March 13th, 2020. I probably won't check it out, to be honest. Unless there's another trailer that sways me or good reviews start coming out, I'm probably not going to check it out, guys, to be honest. Maybe by the end of the year, I might check it out just so I can say when I do my comic book movie list at the end of the year, I can actually have a fair assessment and, put it on there. I watched Hellboy. I'm willing to give anything a fair shot, so we'll see. Definitely not in theaters, though. I'll wait for Redbox. But what do you guys think? You think I'm totally wrong, not only about Bloodshot, but maybe Vin Diesel as well? Think I'm being a little hard on him? Let me know. Fire back on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let me know what you thought about the newest trailer for Bloodshot. Next up, we're going to head over to HBOMax, guys. That's right. I believe it was yesterday. They came out and talked quite a bit about HBOMax. You had the head of originals, Sandra Aubrey, talking a little bit about a couple of series that they're going to be doing, and basically about HBOMax. I know one of the mentions was about the DC Universe, about what are they going to do with that, considering that, it's pretty much Warner Brothers owned, and you would love to put all those, DC heroes and movies that are on the DC Universe app right now onto Warner Brothers. You're going to have them on both. I know the original programming, they're going to put Doom Patrol on HBOMax because critically it's their best show. I like Titans and Young Justice better, even Harley Quinn. It's my least favorite, actually, of the originals. But anyway, they said they're still planning on keeping it separate, actually, which is interesting, but I don't think that'll last, to be, in my opinion. But anyway, they were talking about some stuff, and one of the things that came up was their Green Lantern show that they're going to be working on. So according to the Wrap, they're saying that the story, which is still, in early stages, they don't have a release date or anything like that, they said it will span several decades and focus on original stories of 2 major Green Lanterns on Earth. It's also going to feature Sinestro and a longtime Green Lantern Corps villain. Aubrey explained that it's still in early stages to talk of anything more than that, but it is being produced by Greg Berlanti, who is the famous producer of all the Arrowverse stuff, among other things, at the CW, and they haven't mentioned which 2 Green Lanterns will be featured in the show. So let me start off by saying that I am super excited for this show because I'm a Green Lantern fan. Mainly the stuff that Jeff Johns has done. Some few things outside of that. But I think the mythology of the Green Lantern and the Green Lantern Corps is very rich and can make great television if you have the right budget. These are space cops. They got to be in space. They got to be talking to aliens. And say with Star Wars, you would think that has to be a high budget. It is, but The Mandalorian, because it's so many few characters, I know they found a way to make it for less than what you think a Star Wars show could be made for. I don't think you're going to get away with that on a Green Lantern show. You have to get him into space. You have to get him fighting with aliens, and that ain't cheap. So when they say it is going to be expensive, I have no doubt that it's going to cost quite the pretty penny. Okay, so as far as the 2 Green Lanterns, now, when you say, hey, a Green Lantern show is going to have 2 Green Lanterns, obviously my first 2 choices would be Hal Jordan, the most famous of the Green Lanterns, and John Stewart, the second most famous of the Green Lanterns. But the little description that Miss Aubrey put in there about how it will span several decades makes me want to throw in the original Green Lantern from Justice Society of America, Alan Scott, who originally made his lantern out of a green meteor, and it's not powered by the central battery in Oa. It's, powered, again, from the meteor that he crafted and then he broke off for a ring, and that's how he gets his powers. I know there's some explanation about how it connects to the Green Lanterns in the comics. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, when it says several decades, that's what makes me think we're looking at Alan Scott and then maybe Hal Jordan or John Stewart, because there are other potential human Green Lanterns to follow. I mean, the main four for years were Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, and my favorite, Kyle Rayner. I'm a big fan of Kyle Rayner mainly because when Hal Jordan became Parallax, he destroyed the entire Green Lantern Corps except for one ring. That's, what's his name? The last of the Guardians. He came to Earth and gave Kyle, who was just a starving artist, I guess you would say, the Green Lantern ring. And for years, he was the only Green Lantern in the galaxy, to where he then jump-started the Corps, and then Hal Jordan got saved, or, got Parallax taken out of him, I guess you would say, to where, it restarted the Green Lantern Corps for that as well. And then along the way, you got newcomers like Simon Baz and then Jessica Cruz, who also have interesting backstories along with that. So all the human Green Lantern Corps, I really do think could be interesting choices for this. When they say it spans decades, again, I'm thinking Alan Scott and Hal Jordan. But really, I would love it if all of them were thrown in the mix, I mean, don't just focus on one of them. I mean, right there, I just named 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 characters for your show right there, on top of all the other aliens like Kilowog, that you could throw in there and be a great mix. Sinestro, I don't know who they're going to get to find a better Sinestro than Mark Strong. I'm sure it's doable, but nobody comes to my mind. If anything, I say, you know what? They brought back J.K. Simmons to play J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man, even though it's a different universe. Throw some money at Mark Strong. Let's get him to come back as Sinestro in this new Green Lantern series that is not connected to the Ryan Reynolds film. I think I speak for everyone I say we'd be okay with it and all would be forgiven. But this new show, like I said, is in early stages. Now, HBOMax launches in May. I don't know what they're going to launch with as far as original programming. I mean, I know they're going to have all the DC movies on there from what I heard, as well as, all some other stuff. Harry Potter actually will not be in there, guys. If you've heard about that, there's some licensing agreements with Universal having to do with, getting the rights for the Harry Potter world at Universal Studios. I think eventually it'll be there, but not right away on HBO Max. But anyway, I'm excited for this Green Lantern series if it is done right. Again, like I said, I've said it on this show, I've said it in previous episodes when they first announced it, it's all about the budget. The budget and, getting that drama. Berlanti, while I like him as a producer because he's given us the Arrowverse isn't exactly known for its high-quality television. But given the fact that we're going to be on HBO Max and not the CW, I think you can go after that higher value of content, much like how on HBO you have The Watchmen, even, comparing it to Titans on DC Universe. I think you can, not have to worry about being as family friendly than what the CW does. So I'm excited for it. I'm interested in it. What do you guys think? What do you think the two Green Lanterns will be? Are you excited for a Green Lantern series? Do you think it's a good idea, bad idea? I want to know your thoughts, guys. Fire back, of course, and share them. All right, I got one last story here before I go off on a rant that might piss off a couple people. But anyway, something else that is going to come to HBO Max is going to be an Aquaman animated miniseries. James Wan, who directed the live-action Aquaman movie with Jason Momoa, is set to produce Aquaman King of Atlantis and will consist of 3 episodes. This is all according to the Hollywood Reporter, and the story will kick off with Arthur Curry assuming his rightful place as ruler of the underwater kingdom. However, his half-brother Orm is scheming to take the throne from him. Arthur must also deal with problems caused by the reckless surface dwellers, as well as ancient evils threatening dangers. The series will also feature appearances by 2 of his most trusted confidants, Volko and Mera. Now, we're not quite sure if this ties into the 2018 film, if it's kind of be like a filler in there. We're not quite sure about, but anyway, this is, could be interesting. As an Aquaman fan, as a person who at one point got the nickname Aquaman in his life, I've been a big supporter of the character. The 2018 film, while I did enjoy, was not my favorite as far as an Aquaman fan, but it's enjoyable. I'll give you that. This, of course, has me interested because basically it's Aquaman. Anything that takes more of the image of the character and makes him better. Everyone, when they were making an Aquaman movie, everyone was thinking of the Super Friends or the 1960s version of Aquaman that was real silly. I know why they cast Jason Momoa in the Aquaman film, because he was the anti-image of Aquaman. Even though I don't think he's the best actor and still don't believe he was the best person for the job, I get why they cast him, and I totally understand it. With this, they can make him look like it. I mean, in the comics, they gave Aquaman a beard. He still has the blonde hair and the outfit, but they gave him the beard to help him look more like Jason Momoa. I understand it all. It's not my favorite rendition. It's not the way I'd want the character to be seen, but I understand it for the sake of the character. A miniseries on HBOMax, great, because I like the idea of a miniseries to where you can tell a story and you're not confined to hour and a half to 2 hours to tell it. You can spread it out over maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then you're at no obligation to make a sequel, so to speak. So I think this sounds cool. I think you could really get some good stuff in there. I love to see it have the same vein or of the same level as the DC animated movie universe. Honestly, I'd love to see it tie into it too, but I don't think that's going to happen, especially since it's James Wan and not the other guys doing it. But in any event, again, it's Aquaman. It's, on HBO Max, so you can be a little more mature with it, maybe really dive in a little bit and have a really good, solid story. Either way, as a fan of the character, I want to see more of him in a good light, so I approve of this. But what do you think, of course? Do you like Aquaman? Did you like the movie? Do you think an animated miniseries is going to go cool on HBO Max? Fire back and let's have a discussion. Okay, guys, so my last story for today, to be honest, is going to be a little winded. So buckle up, kids. I'm going to try to keep this as short as I possibly can. Star Wars. That's right, guys. Of course, I feel like I talk so much Star Wars for the last couple months with The Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian. Sometimes I don't know how I can talk so much, but I love it so much. I always have, always will. So whenever there's, some juicy Star Wars stuff, I want to talk about it. And this is something that's made the round this week. So as most of us know, when Episode 9 was originally planned out, Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow was set to write and direct the story. Somewhere along the way, right before The Last Jedi came out, I think is what it was, he dropped out of the project. Now, you could question what happened. Was it a failure on Kathleen Kennedy's part? Was it, Colin Trevorrow's inability to compromise with the studio? Story ideas? What was it exactly? And we never really know. I mean, we could throw out a couple things that we've heard. We're not 100%, but we do know he spent 2 years from the time he was announced to the time he was announced that he left. In that time, we know there were some scripts made. How many drafts? We don't know. Earlier this week, Robert Meyer Burnett, who is I'm going to call him, a film connoisseur, I guess you would say, because he has his own YouTube channel where he talks a lot about movies and comic books, and he's a big nerd, which, give him the cred right there. But also he's been working in the movie industry for decades now, okay? He worked on several films, and then some. He still does work on stuff, so you got to give him that credibility. He allegedly has gotten his hands on a draft of Colin Trevorrow's Episode 9 script. And the title was going to be Duel of the Fates. And it was different from Rise of Skywalker. Some people are saying it's better than the story we got in Rise of Skywalker, and it's sparked a lot of debate online. Now, Robert won't say really where he got it from per se. He won't even really actually say if it's true or not, but he spent over 2 hours talking about the script, what was in it, what the story was like. And at first I wasn't going to listen to all 2 hours, but it's Star Wars, and I listen to a lot of people talk about Star Wars, so I of course got sucked into listening to it. And he went down the script. It's called Duel of Fates. Just to go over maybe some of the highlights, I guess, with you, for those of you who don't know, the opening crawl basically how it explains how the First Order had cut off all communication in the galaxy and was monitoring it, controlling it. Meanwhile, Leia's trying to scramble the resistance and to fight back against the First Order. The opening scene is basically the crew, Rey, Finn, Poe, Rose, all them, destroying a Star Destroyer factory. It wasn't even a factory, I guess, because to build Star Destroyers you need more than a factory, but a whole, depot, planet, whatever, of where they build the Star Destroyers. They blew it up and stole the Star Destroyer themselves. The main crux of this, of course, when you get down to it, is that Rey is still a nobody. Where, she doesn't turn out to be Palpatine's kid. The only time we see Palpatine is in a Sith holocron, where Kylo Ren returns to Vader's castle, and he finds this holocron of a message from Palpatine that's supposed to be to Vader, telling Vader that if anything happens to him, he should go seek out his old master to continue learning and training. So Kylo Ren goes to seek out Palpatine's old master. Along the way, him and Rey end up on the Mortis planet that we saw in Clone Wars. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew actually head to Coruscant to try to open up communications with the galaxy. Hux is appointed himself Chancellor of Coruscant, and you have a battle with the First Order and the Resistance, while Kylo Ren and Rey are on Mortis, surrounded by Jedi ghosts fighting to the death. Okay, one thing I've said is The Rise of Skywalker, I don't like the story choices, but I think they're okay. I can live with it. I'm not one of these people that, don't like a movie and demand that, you raise money to make another movie that the actually is the real movie. Give me a fucking break, guys. Oh, God. Or, they should maybe remake the prequels because George Lucas ruined my childhood. I'm not saying that at all. Rise of Skywalker is the film we got. It's not going anywhere. This other script, Duel of Fates, is not going to get made. It's just something interesting of what could have been. As it so happens, I myself think it's better. But I'm okay with not getting it and accepting The Rise of Skywalker, because that's what we got. But when you look at this script compared to what we got with The Rise of Skywalker, you can obviously see pretty much Disney or Lucasfilm's fears that we've been talking about for a long time in regards to their inability to connect the movies to the bigger expanding universe, like the TV shows, the books, video games, whatever. You have Mortis, which is featured on Clone Wars. You have Coruscant, which goes back to very much the prequels. There are a lot of things in this that would make you think it's not only a sequel to The Last Jedi, but also wraps up all 9 episodes. It doesn't give us so much more new stuff, so much more new characters. It all is an homage to what we have before. We do get some new things in there, but it's not overloading it just to sell toys, I guess you would say. But it's obvious from this that they got spooked by The Last Jedi. And, there was a rumor going around that Kathleen Kennedy's the one that walked into the writer's room and said, hey, I want you to put Palpatine in this script, which does happen. You're a writer on these films. I mean, there's the infamous story with the writers of Civil War who said that they had, their 3rd or 4th draft of Civil War. Kevin Feige walks in and be like, hey, we got the rights to Spider-Man. Put Spider-Man in this movie. It happens. I don't like the fact that Palpatine was in this film, but I'm okay with it. I've heard other people's thoughts about why they liked it, and it makes sense. It comes from a rational place. So for that, I understand. But again, the connectivity, the fact that they're so afraid to connect, boggles the mind, because you look at The Mandalorian. And because of The Mandalorian, not only the fact that it's called The Mandalorian, and everyone who didn't watch Rebels or Clone Wars are asking, what's Mandalorian? What's Mandalorian? What's their history? And then at the end, when Moff Gideon has the Darksaber, people are like, what's the Darksaber? What's its history? What's what? And more people, because of The Mandalorian, are watching Clone Wars, are watching Rebels. You put Mortis in that movie, more people are going to go back and be like, what's this place? Well, here, let me show you this episode of Clone Wars. Let me show you more of Lucasfilm's product that will get you more excited about Star Wars, get you more into Star Wars, and therefore make them more money. And it boggles my mind why they don't do it. And I'm being nice about this, okay? If my wife were here, oh boy, she'd be saying some naughty words about what she feels about how Lucasfilm is afraid to go into depth in the expanded universe and what they have built up outside of the movies. So again, let me just reiterate. Rise of Skywalker, I think it's okay. I don't like it, but I think it's okay. I don't think it does a good job of wrapping up 9 episodes. I think there's a lot of stuff that are shoehorned in there. There's a lot of plot holes. You can tell this movie was made as a knee-jerk reaction to The Last Jedi, much like how on Warner Brothers, Suicide Squad, the editing of that film was a knee-jerk reaction to Batman v Superman, along with Justice League, even worse than what Suicide Squad was. Studios are a business and they want to make the most money possible, so they're going to adapt to what they feel is going to make them more money. Understandable. Last Jedi didn't make as much as The Force Awakens, nor even near close to it, for some reasons, but a little reason was because of the divide of the fan base of the film. They did not want that again. That's why they brought J.J. Abrams back. That's why they made what I call a safe story or a safe script that they think everyone would like. No, but this script, whether it be real or not, sounded, again, like a true sequel to The Last Jedi, a true sequel, the next episode, the wrap-up of the entire saga, paying homage to the entire Star Wars franchise, very much more than The Rise of Skywalker. And some of you are going to disagree with me. I totally understand if you do. That's okay. That's the great thing about being a fan, is we all have different ways that we interpret this art or any art. And that's the fun of it, is discussing it in a rational way why we have different opinions. But I now want to hear your guys' opinion, okay? Did you hear about this? What do you think about the story? How do you compare it to Rise of Skywalker? Do you feel like I do, that it was a more fitting insert to Episode 9 or story for Episode 9? Fire back, of course, Facebook group, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, and of course the Twitter account. I want to hear your thoughts, guys, because I know we Star Wars fans are a very passionate group who are made up of millions of people, and we all have our own opinions about Star Wars. All we have to try to remember is that we all love Star Wars. Some of us may love different parts of it, different movies, different TV shows, different books, but we all share that in common. And that's one of the things I like about Star Wars Celebration is, yes, we may all not like the same things about Star Wars, but we do love Star Wars. And when you walk into Celebration, there's none of that bitter internet rivalry and toxic fan base that you see online or Twitter. It's all just, we're all there. We all spent money to enjoy the same thing. And that's what's so nice about it. So I can't wait for Celebration in August, guys. I'm getting excited. But anyway, of course, that is going to be it for me today, guys. Fire back on any of the topics. I know we're in through a lot of them. Let me know what you think about any of them, of course, and I will be glad to talk about it some more, as I always do. You can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram, SlimDayspring12. That's it. Like I said, Tuesday, hopefully I'll have Jaime here, and we will be talking some Crisis on Infinite Earths. Gonna go into a deep dive on that, maybe a few other things, but until then, guys, may the Force be with us all.